Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you on this daily Hindu Alliance video. In the morning, these videos come. In the evening, MCQ lessons they come. 17th of October it is, and important issues we are discussing on daily basis. Very crucial issues are there. Paid courses are available at 159 rupees per month. Regarding any of the payment query, any of the issue if you are facing, then I have given you numbers for that. On these two numbers you can call. Chat section is also available, and all the courses are available. Regarding these courses, the descriptions are given below the video. And here you will get the PDF on Telegram channel. I have updated that, and these Instagram profile you can follow here. Now the first issue important for GS paper 2 and 3, a very shameful issue. India ranks 102 in hunger index prepared by Irish aid agency concerned worldwide and German organization Welt Hunger Life. I'm sorry for the disturbance. It's Welt Hunger High Life. These two have created this important report for India, and they have called the status serious for India. You see, 102nd is the rank, score is 30.3, and Afghanistan is just below India. Here Afghanistan has 108 mark and India has 102. If you see, China 25th, Sri Lanka 66th, Myanmar 69th, Nepal 73, Bangladesh 88, Pakistan 94, and India at 102. So do you think India is a worse country than these countries? In this parameter, yes, means we cannot even care about our kids. The child wasting, child stunting, child malnutrition issues, which are the indicators in this important report, we do not even care about our kids. And we are having the richest companies, richest people of the world in this country, and a shameless situation is in front of us. And whatever claims, schemes we have, this is the real picture here. It is the mirror that this report is showing to us, that what we are capable of and what are our priorities. This is the same country where thousands of crores of rupees are wasted on some statues, and 60,000 crore rupees were wasted in election campaignings, and every time there is no dearth of money for election rallies and all. But here this is the condition, means child wasting happens when kids do not get food 1, 2, 3, 4 days, means they skip these foods for this many days and hardly any nutrition reaches their stomach. That's why their bodies are totally wasted, no flesh on the bones, and this is the condition. And here the report and the article talks about the situation of severe acute malnutrition, where the consequence is the death or not any recovery if they survive. This is the consequence of that severe acute malnutrition. But WHO there was assessing the situation, and they came out with a report that many of these kids, they would die. But there are some myths regarding this issue, because all of the kids, they will not die. According to Indian reports and the observations, they say that they will not die if the proper nutrition is given on time, and especially the kids who are over 6 months age, they can be saved easily because they can be given something to eat, like the RUTF is the ready to use therapeutic food. And what is that RUTF? It's a thick paste of peanuts, vegetable oil, sugar and milk powder. Vitamins and minerals are there, so this is given. So according to WHO, this is the best one there. But now the reports say that locally made energy dense foods, they can also be a great help there. So that's the situation. But for sure, the kids below 6 months of age, they are highly vulnerable, and many of them die. Half of them die because of low birth weight and premature births. But over 6 months, they can be saved there. But embarrassing situation is in front of us. You see the severity scale. If the score is 20 to 35, then it is serious condition, and we are in this serious category. Now you can see the situation. We are worse than all the countries in South Asia, and just Afghanistan, which is battling with a lot of crisis. The Taliban, the troops were there, and all these wars and everything was there. So that's a different condition. But in this country, where our Prime Minister claimed in America that everything is good, everything is fine, everything is changa, and in this country where there is no war that is going on, and the efficient government is there, and they talk about the best of the administration there, and this is the condition. And we have launched all the schemes, like the Poshan Abhiyan was launched last year, and it is taking care about the situation of nutrition especially. So that's the most relevant scheme there, a centrally sponsored scheme that's going on, but still we are performing worse than ever here. We were at 55th rank in 2014. Here today we are at 102 mark. This is really, really shameful. Important for GS paper 2 and 3. How we are going to have a working young population? These will be sick, they will be diseased. Daily adjusted life years, the issue of DALY, that will be the case with this young generation when they will grow young. So if the percentage like 15 to 20, they are totally malnutritioned, and around 1 crore kids are severely acute malnutrition kids, then what we can expect from these kids? What kind of mental development will be there, what kind of physical development will be there, and how much capable these kids will be? You can easily imagine the situation. So are we really going to reap the benefit of a demographic dividend? No. If this condition will continue, employment is problematic, skills are problematic, education, higher education is really, really in a sad situation, and this is the case of malnutrition, child wasting, stunting. It is going to be a demographic disaster if we do not take emergency steps here. So that's why it's a very serious problem, and this is the condition after so many claims. That's why the problem becomes more severe. Means we are not even concerned about that, and we are ignoring these situations, claiming that everything is fine there. But these reports, they tell the truth. Okay, so this regarding this RUTF, they may ask you questions. They may ask you questions regarding severe acute malnutrition, and as I told you, that there are some misconceptions, because the hunger, measuring hunger is a very difficult task, and as I told you, the IFPRI Institute is involved in this process, and they have created many of the indicators for that, and where in all of them we are performing worst. And this is the year 2019, means 73 years are gone after our independence, and that's the situation here. So that's why it's really alarming. You can see this is the case of a GHI composition, 3 dimensions, 4 indicators, these are given here, and I will ask you many questions regarding that in the evening session. So please be prepared about that, and search all the websites related to that. Search all the PIB data and the Hindu newspaper and the Indian Express newspaper. It's an important issue, and certainly UPSC will ask questions on that. Next, spotlight shines on Rangdam Monastery. Rangdam Monastery is there in Kargil district in Ladakh, and it is going to be a union territory from 31st of October, as the announcement was made and the notification came. So this is going to be a union territory, so they are going to focus on the tourism aspect. It is having a great potential there. We all know about that. This Rangdam Monastery is among the top monasteries of Ladakh, and it is located on a steep hill at an altitude of 4031 meter in Ladakh. So Rangdam Monastery, UPSC has asked questions regarding monasteries in the past also. UPSC focuses a lot on Buddhism, so monasteries are important. Some are there in Himachal Pradesh, some are there in Arunachal Pradesh, and some are there in Ladakh region. So these are the prime areas where these monasteries are located. So this is the list of 15 monasteries in Ladakh. They may ask you about that, and regarding other states, you must follow that knowledge too. Next, again a bizarre condition. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who said that these millennials are not buying cars, and according to her, they were capable of buying cars, and they are not opting to buy that car, and they choose Ola and Uber travels. So she now says that public sector banks had worst phase under Manmohan and Rajan phase. So this is based on a data that crony capitalism was there, and the loans were given on phone calls, and all these problems which we are facing today, this is all because of that. So this is in a way as absolving of all the allegations to the government, and they are not even ready to take any responsibility, and they are just saying that we are just mending all these issues, and these are problems created in the previous governments. So it is a typical thing in this country where all the blames are shifted towards past governments, and they do not care that people have chosen your party over the previous party because they found mistakes there. So if the present government talks like that, then it becomes a typical problem, and you can write a mains question on that, that every party comes that shifts all the blames on the previous parties, and today they are in a 6th year of their working, and they say that that was the worst phase. Actually, if you know the condition there, in 2008 and after that, it was the major crisis, the biggest crisis of this century. We came successful in that phase because the banking was very robust. Actually, we did not give loans to many people without any security. So it was a crisis that affected banks globally, but our banks were very strong, and this was all our policies. So this statement is actually totally contradictory to that situation. And if you ask for the evidence, then evidence was the intactness of the Indian economy and our banks. They did not fail at that phase. So Raghuram Rajan like personality is targeted here, and Manmohan Singh's economics, that is world non-economics, leave about the politics, leave about the parties there. Two personalities who are iconically famous for their economics and their particular decision making and the ways, those are being targeted here. So that's why it's a major controversy, and consistently many bizarre remarks are coming. So that is why it is the case of accountability, it is the case of blame shifting, it is the case of shifting of goalposts there. But surely there is a problem in this country with the public sector banks and maybe other banks, that loans were given on phone calls. That's also a huge allegation and maybe a reality, and that's why many loans they failed. And it is also a case of nexus between the governments and the corporate bodies. You see, this is typical for India, that during the election times parties need funds. So a lot of black money or maybe any other form of money that is given by these big corporateers to the parties, and then the governments are formed, and then they repay these favors by making policies like that. And as the example is here, that on phone calls loans were given for thousands of crores of rupees, and the collaterals were not there as a guarantee there. So this is something, a typical case, and this is the problem that our economy is facing this crisis, and the banking sector is facing this crisis. But the management and the professional approach towards these problems, this is something expected from the governments always. So that's why this issue has become very controversial, and we will see many articles on this issue, because this is not a simple topic. They will surely come in the next week. Next, China took entire Pacific island of Tugali on lease for 75 years. This is the case of its expanding strategy in the Pacific Ocean, where US is always active, and it will have a lot of problems there. You see, this is the international date line, and you can see it is in the zigzag position, because it is adjusted according to the boundaries of many island nations. It is Solomon Island here, and here this is Tulagi Island, which is taken on lease by China for 75 years. So that's important. The location is very, very important, and China has infrastructure plans there, and some companies who are close to Chinese Communist Party, they are investing here, and they are securing many secretive deals here. So that's important. So Solomon Island is always important when we talk about these climate change issues, sea level rise issues, and the international date line issues. So that's very, very important. It is located northeast to Australia, Papua New Guinea, and the east side of it. This is important. Polynesia, Micronesia. These are the island groups which are located in Pacific Ocean, and these are very important because during World War II this was an important South Pacific headquarter for Britain and Japan also. So that's why these are very important. Next, Mr. Kovind, the President of India, is to attend Akihito's coronation. In Japan, there are ceremonial kings and queens, and next king, Akihito, his coronation will be there in on October 21st, and at that day, the president will travel there. And you see, we have an important linkage of Buddhism. So he will plant a Bodhi tree also there. And he is also on a 4-day visit to Philippines. We had donated $5 lakh to Philippines for the reconstruction of Marawi city, which was destroyed during the siege in May 17 by a terror group claiming allegiance to Islamic State. So that was a huge blast there. And we all know the new Philippines president. He has taken many controversial decisions. He has killed many of these drug peddlers and all, according to allegations. And the drug menace is really huge in Philippines. So regarding that, we donated there. And if you talk about Japan, then it is going through this menace, the Hagibis typhoon, so the super typhoon, which has devastated the country. And in that phase, this coronation is going to happen there. So this is going to be a unique situation where a lot of cooperation we can extend there. Next issue, a very important issue, and many articles will come on this same issue, because here there is a revelation that the Premier of China, Mr. Xi, he mooted a trilateral ties with India and Pakistan. So trilateral tie, it's idealistically very important term, and nothing can be better if these three countries come on same page and they work in a cooperative way. But we have to see how practical these things will be on the ground. And always these kind of statements are made when these meets are there. This was the informal meet after the Wuhan summit, the second informal summit after Doklam, and this came very positive in a sense. And here when they talk about the cooperation, then they need to resolve a lot of issues, and especially the CPEC issue that's going through our official land in POK. So that's why these can be big obstacles there, and it would be very difficult, and it is going to be a huge challenge for all three countries to come together. Because when he came on visit on 11th of October, before that, Pakistan's Prime Minister and Army Chief Qamar Javed Bajwa and head of the ISI General Faiz Hamid, they had arrived separately in Beijing between 7th October and 8th October, and they met with Mr. Xi, and this was before the Chennai visit of Mr. Jinping. So that was all very much relevant, and that created a kind of a context for these talks. And that's why Mr. Xi said that we want to work in cooperation, and if this thing becomes a reality, then nothing can be better than that. Next article, this was important for GS paper 2, obviously, the IR issue and the bilateral trilateral issues. Next issue regarding the Hong Kong protests. These are going on. China is putting all the pressure there. All the forces are tackling this problem there. These all started when a kind of a bill was proposed that any Hong Konger will be deported to China if the citizenship issues are there. So any kind of controversy, any kind of negligence will be seen, then that person will be deported to China, the mainland China. And that became so controversial that there's this huge protest that erupted, and after that the bill was withdrawn, but still the protests were going on, and all are talking about the proper law establishment and the sovereignty issue. And they say that Hong Kong is separate from China, and we are not a part of China, and we are a separate autonomous state. And the allegations by China has frequently accused that external forces, they are fueling these weeks of unrest there in the global financial hub as the Hong Kong is. So clearly it's an indirect attack on America there, that America is involved in this in these protests, because some consequences are seen here. America now, in the House of Representatives there, they have passed a bill, and this bill will go to Senate now, and there is a bipartisan support there. Okay, for what? The bill aims to defend civil rights in semi-autonomous territory of Hong Kong, and it's a angry response obviously from China for this issue, because US is meddling in this issue, and Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act it is going to be called, and the law would end the Hong Kong's US special trading status unless the State Department certifies annually that city authorities are respecting human rights and the rule of law is intact there. So they are putting some condition there, and more controversial part is that it requires the US president to identify and sanction people who are responsible for the erosion of autonomy and serious abuses of rights in the city. Means directly the president of America that can meddle in this situation, and they can identify that who is fueling these problems. Clearly they will create problems for China here, and this is a clear case that they have chosen Hong Kong just to oppose China everywhere. So this is the case. So China says it is not a human rights issue, it is not a democracy issue, but the issue of stopping violence and reinstating order and upholding the rule of law there. Whatever forces China has deployed there, whatever controls, restrictions they have imposed there in Hong Kong. So that's the issue, and America and China, they are locking horns there on this issue, and this is going on and it is not stopping. So that's the issue. So IR issue is applicable here. GS paper 2 will be applicable. Next issue, Mr. Sudhir Bhargav, the present CIC, he alleges that the government officials, they do not comply and they violate the RTI Act, because recently we discussed an article where it was said that only 2%, 3% cases where penalties are imposed, and here the person Sudhir Bhargav, the CIC, he says that data from the commissions showed that they failed to impose penalties in 97% of the cases where violations of the RTI Act took place in 1819. And one issue is the proof of mala fide intent is there. What is that? Means there must be a case in all these violation issues, and there must be a proof that mala fide intention was there of the government official, and intentionally they did not provide the information. Then the penalties can be there. Otherwise, imposing penalty is difficult. So that's why it's controversial, and referring to that mala fide intention issue, penalties were not imposed. So that's why it's a clear case of going away from the ethical responsibility, the official duty, and because it is not easy to put to impose these penalties, the officials, they are not complying there, and they do not have any fear there, and it is a clear case of backing also, some kind of backing also, that they do not fear now because the penalties were not imposed, so they are not giving information. Ultimately the people, they are becoming weaker and weaker because of the less access to the information, because information is the real power today. All the scams in the past, they were exposed because of the RTI information there. Now when we have seen in the past years many attacks on the RTI activists, and a lot of information which were not given, many sensitive regions were cited there, and now Sudhir Bhargav said that government officials, they violate RTI Act with impunity, means they do not fear there. So that's a clear problem, and we have seen the recent amendment and how some typical attack is there on the RTI institution. The security of tenure is no more there, because they are not parallel now to the CEC office, Chief Election Commission office, and they said that it is a statutory body, the CIC commission, and the CEC is the constitutional body. So there will be a difference. So this is how they have stripped of the RTI institution with its security of tenure for the CIC there, and they cannot oppose the government there from now on. That is going to be a clear situation. Okay, because their service conditions will be decided by the central government there. Next issue, Meghalaya Governor Tadhagat Roy, he stoked a controversy by making remarks on Nobel laureate Abhijit Vinayak Banerjee. His full name is Abhijit Vinayak Banerjee, and that became a controversy. It's a kind of a very irrelevant and nonsensical issue that he raised there. He said that why his middle name was Vinayak. His father was Bengali, Mr. Deepak Banerjee, and his mother was Marathi. And according to Marathi tradition, the father's name is the middle name there. So that's why this should be Abhijit Deepak Banerjee, and it is Abhijit Vinayak Banerjee. What is the problem there? So why the name is like that? So it is utter nonsense to talk about a Nobel laureate there. And the post of governor is again and again making controversy. First of all, it is the British government's tradition when they were ruling India that they created this governor's post just to put a control there of the center on the states, on the provinces at that time. Now these are states, and we have a bias towards the central power there. So that's why this office is continuing, but there is no specific merit which is required. Only the age factor is there, and the government, central government, can appoint any person the governor. So that's the problem. That person does not require any specific merit, any specific achievement, and he is not an elected person. So any kind of person who is likened by the government, central government there, he can be appointed, and they are appointed as governors. And that's why these kind of remarks, they have become a very casual thing. Recently the J&K governor made many controversial statement, and then we saw the case of Bengal there, and now the case in Meghalaya. And utter nonsense this issue is, and they are talking about the Nobel laureate there. So that's why it's really hurtful, and it is really a problematic issue. And Nobel laureate today, and from India, who was born in India, it doesn't matter he was born in Mumbai or he was born in Kolkata, and what his name is, but his qualities must matter. But what matters in this country, this is the typical example there, and this is coming from a person sitting on the post of a governor there. So that's why really shameful this thing is. Next, coming to the articles, refusing to rescue, important for GS paper 2 and important for the working of the judiciary. There was a act, 2013 act, the Right to Fair Compensation and Transparency in Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act of 2013. The issue is going on that we need to improve the manufacturing industry's condition there. More and more industries should come, and for that the prime need is the land there. For that the land acquisition was the biggest need, and for that this law came. A lot of problems were there, a lot of protests were there regarding this issue, but you see some issues they reached up to Supreme Court, and in 14 year a 3 judges bench, they gave a verdict regarding the section 24 of the act that was controversial. So later in 2018 there was another bench of 3 judges bench, and Justice Arun Mishra was there. He decided in this matter with an unusual verdict, because this is a norm there in the judicial discipline. If a 3 judges bench gives a decision, then if there is any kind of review, any kind of change in that, then it should be decided by the higher bench, means the 5 judges bench at least, that should take the matter in hand. But that was given to a 3 judges bench, and Arun Mishra, the justice, was there, and he decided about this matter. Now it became a controversy, and this matter became huge, and this matter is now given to CJI, and CJI decided that a 5 judges constitutional bench will decide about this matter. So 5 judges or more than 5 judges benches are constitutional benches, and they take the serious important issues. So Justice Mishra, Arun Mishra, is among those 5 judges. That became a controversy. A writer said that there are 34 judges today in the Supreme Court, and it was not necessary that you take Justice Mishra in the 5 judges bench, because there can be a case of predisposition, because he was related to the earlier decision, and that is being reviewed here. So how can you make a bench of 5 judges where the earlier judge is also there who decided about the matter, and the same verdict is being reviewed here, and the same person is again on the bench there who's gonna review. So this is very bizarre there, and there is no rule, and there is no compelling that is possible there. But ethically this thing is very wrong, and all are requesting Mr. Mishra that he recuse from this important bench there, and he should not be a part of this bench. Now Mr. Mishra is very much adamant on this issue, and he says that I will not withdraw myself from this case, and there is a lobby that is working against this whole matter, and Mishra's vehement refusal to withdraw from hearing is really disappointing, because this predisposition can be there, and that may affect the judge's mind, and this is something which is very important in the judicial working. And when it is the case of Supreme Court, then it becomes very important, because Supreme Court is the last resort for the weakest person of this country, and any case where the legislature is not helping, the laws, the authorities are not helping, the Supreme Court is the last resort, the last help there. So that's why it's the biggest hope in this country, and the working in the Supreme Court, that must be upright, that must be according to ethical ground also, and the issue is that if the justice is being delivered, then it must be observable, it must be seen. So there Mr. Mishra should withdraw himself from this case, and that is the issue. So later many more articles will come for this issue, and important for GS paper 2. And next article is regarding the data, the very important issue. Data is the future. Data analysis is the key process today, where artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data analytics, these are the prime subjects in this world where these researches are going on, and data analysis is something all the companies are investing in, and they are developing their artificial intelligent machines. And how they are developing them? They are developing them with the help of data. More and more data with them, more and more learning will be there. Machines will be making their own algorithms based on that, and in the same process as humans learn, these machines are learning, and they are becoming very, very intelligent. So to make machines intelligent, we need data, more and more data all over the world. These nodes are there, and they are processing maximum amount of data, and the data which is there on their servers, that is readily available for them, and they are making these intelligent machines there. Where India is in this race? Practically nowhere. China and America, two big countries where these servers are located, because the biggest internet giants are located in US and China, in these two countries. So the issue of data localization is hugely important. The RCEP negotiations are going on, and news reports, they told that there can be a possibility that we will withdraw this data localization demand there, and we will sign the deal there. What is the hurry? That is the problem. The writer Paramjit Singh, he says that today there is a big fear that it is going to be a case of digital dependence, especially for the developing countries, especially like India. Brazil has also raised concerns regarding that. They all demanded that the servers, the physical servers, they must be there within our country, and the data must be available there only. If the data is generated in India, suppose the case of Facebook, all people are active on Facebook, a lot of data is created, and that is reaching up to the servers of Facebook headquarters in America. So the whole data is reaching up to America, and the whole data is there in America only. So if tomorrow we want to get any information, then we have to take permission, and that will be allowed by Facebook only, or maybe America only. So we do not have any control of that. The data was created in India, and the whole community data was originated here only, but now the authority is there with Facebook in America. So we do not have any control, any license there to have authority there. So there is no sovereignty on our own data. That is the community data that is created in India. So that's why the data localization issue is very, very important, because data is the gold, new gold. The new researches for the artificial intelligence, which will lead this world, which will tackle this world in the future. All businesses, all the workings, all the industries, they will be dependent on the artificial intelligence. They need data, and the data sovereignty is not there. We do not have any control on our data, but they are learning from our data. That's the thing. So that's the problem, and that's why the demand of data localization was very prime. France has brought its aggressive data policy there regarding the AI strategy, and it demanded that the control on the data outflow must be there within France. Brazil was also talking about that. But now, when we were talking about this issue in the RCEP negotiations, which is going to be the biggest free trade agreement, now the reporters told the writer there that there may be a case that we will not put this demand there, and we may withdraw with it. So that's the problem. That means in future we will not have data sovereignty, and our data will be going in these foreign servers consistently. We will give all this data to them, and they will learn out of it, and they will become more and more efficient. And this is only the data that they need today. They are processing this data, and they are becoming more and more powerful. So we will be heavily dependent on these data. And the biggest giants are the internet giants, companies in this world. You talk about Facebook, Google, YouTube. These are the giants there. Okay, their parent companies can be different, but these are the popular names. So these are the biggest companies where the world is heavily dependent on them. We are learning on this platform, that is YouTube. So these people are extremely rich, and they are polarizing this whole world, and they are becoming more and more efficient in terms of power, money, and now in the intelligence also. So this intelligence we are building for them, because we are giving the community data to them, and we are not able to have a control on our data. So we will be digitally dependent, and that is the case of digital colonization. So you have to write an important mains question for 500 words. Comment on digital colonization. Okay, so that's a very important topic there. So this article talks about that. This is the gist there. And concept of community data is inscribed in India's draft e-commerce policy also. Okay, and the community data, as I discussed here, this is our data, but we are imparting it with their servers, and it reaches up to their servers, and then they block it. They make it their own data. This becomes their own private data. We do not have any control. So it is the ultimate need there that we have our data policy space, and till date we have not even begun dealing with the very complex data policy issue, and there is no time to lose. As soon as possible we have to work on that. We do not have any great cyber law, we do not have any great data policy there, and the sovereignty is totally not there for India. Okay, so we are becoming more and more vulnerable. The world is totally dependent on these issues, and the artificial intelligence is going to be a great help for these most developed countries like US and China. China is not developed today, but it will become for sure very soon. So it is going to be the greatest help, greatest tool for them, and they can beat anything in this world with the help of that artificial intelligence in the future. And it is going to be the menace for India, because India is not building that capacity, and we will become dependent on that. So this is the evidence where China is and where India is. And on these third class media of this country, they talk about we have shown red eyes to China, and China is trembling with fear. India has developed this weapon, India has developed this aircraft. These are all not appropriate things, because you see the difference there, where China is playing and where our game is. These are giants who are in a real conflict, America and China, and we are nowhere in the picture because we are dependent. We are discussing that we should allow Huawei to introduce 5G here or not, and we are also afraid that America will bring sanctions here if we will allow Huawei.